we are going to be joined by some people that drive some of our older Morris Minors. So we have got some people who have driven some MMs really far, and also some people who have driven Series 2s lots and really far and really impressive distances. So we're going to talk about the usability of these older cars, because quite often, myself included, we get at 1,000 and we will jump in it and go absolutely anywhere. But what can we do with these earlier cars to make them more appealing? So thank you very much for joining me on stage. We have John, who has come all the way from America and brought his Morris Minor with him for the summer. And we're joined by Stephen, who is from Northern Ireland.
Hello.
So, John, like I said, here in your Series MM that you've brought across from America, what on earth possessed you to bring it over from America and drive it around Europe for the summer?
Arrangement. It was a car I never intended to own. It was a car I never. Oh, there we go. It was a car I never intended to own, and I got this note, and there were only lowlights in North America for 1 year, and this one had 19,000 miles on it, and no rust anywhere. And I thought, I can't not give that a home. And then COVID hit, so there's a process involved. But I'd always wanted to do MOT, and I thought, life is for doing silly things. And so why not ship a car to the Netherlands and join a bunch of other minor lunatics who are driving much faster cars.
So were you the only Series MM on MOT this year?
Oh no, Ryan Watson had Olive, the Tourer.
Yeah.
And help me out, I think there were some others too. But there weren't a lot, and there were some rather nicely modified thousands.
Yeah.
With
so they
5-speed gearboxes.
Yeah, like my own. They were absolutely zooming off ahead, and you were kind of just taking in the beautiful countryside at a more peaceful pace.
0 to 50 in 28.6 seconds, I think, was the road test data.
Yeah, not a reality nowadays, I imagine.
It's newish, but yeah, it was slow.
Yeah.
Depends on the size of your lunch, really.
And Stephen, you've also brought your car overseas at times. Yeah. Tell us about bringing your Series 2 over to the UK from Belfast.
It's been over several times. The last big one was for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. For the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in 2022. It was one of only 2 cars that have actually driven themselves from anywhere outside London. But no, it's been over several times, and I have no problems using it at all. It's great to get them out and get them driven. Yeah.
So how have you found, because I believe you own a 1,000 as well, Stephen,
yeah.
And have you driven some of the latest stuff as well?
Yeah, I had a 67 minor in college, and I still have my family's 1960 Traveller.
So how do you find the kind of difference between the two? We'll start with John.
Well, I have this other side valve, but it's the stupid 15-year rotisserie restoration project that everyone needs once. So it hasn't actually ever run, and I've never driven it. So actually driving a side valve was a new experience. They're lovely, they're just incredibly slow. And once I sort of internalized that and realized that the family in the BMW SUV 18 inches off my backside had to sort for themselves, it was fine. I learned the car, I learned how to maximize momentum around roundabouts, and it took me a couple 100 miles to get used to it, and now it's what it is. I wouldn't choose to commute in London traffic on a regular basis, but it's lovely on B roads.
Yeah, although I don't think London traffic goes at great speeds anyway, so it's just the indicators, I suppose, and little differences like that.
The indicators, and see previous reference to BMW SUVs, but no, first and second gear in a side valve is actually perfectly suited to London traffic, most of it. So in that sense, it's fine. It just, My biggest problem, and I imagine you have this too, is keeping a sufficient distance from the car ahead, because they may assume that you have their brakes and you don't.
Yeah, and it's leaving that gap, and then when somebody dips into that gap, then you have to drop back even further because they don't understand that you needed that gap.
Exactly.
Yeah. What about yourself, Stephen?
Compared to the 1000, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, sorry, the Series 2's at home this year, the 1000's here instead. Just for the simple reason that if I'm staying over, it's better doing longer distances in the 1000. It can cope better than the Series 2. The scariest bit's actually traffic lights. It's starting off with a set of traffic lights. You don't have to get up and go that the BMW behind you has, and you're off. And then by the time you're ready to go to seconds, they're 2 inches off your bumper and slamming the brakes on, so it's scarier. I agree with John. The side valve is really, really nice to drive. The 803 is awesome, but there is a horrible change between third and fourth gear. You have to really rev it in third, and then it nearly dies in fourth. But as long as you're not in a hurry, they're perfectly fine. I mean, jumping from the Series 2 into the 1000, it's night and day. It's, ooh, this actually moves. This is great. And as you said, the trafficators, people don't realise what they are. And the brake lights are lower down and things like that. That's more of a concern.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of flashicators, though.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a few little things that you can do to both to make them that little bit more usable, even if they're at the more peaceful pace. And then making decisions about journeys and things like that. That then you're like, okay, well, obviously I'm not going on the M6, but perhaps I'll find a different route and often a more scenic one.
It's a slower pace. It's nice. I mean, really, why would you be blasting down the motorway in a minor anyway if you really didn't need to? You may as well enjoy the back road Britain.
The avoid highways option is my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you find kind of parts availability compared to something a bit newer?
Well, for the Series 2, I know the MMs are hard too, but there's some specific bits with the Series 2. The drivetrain itself, parts for the 803 engine is really difficult. The gearboxes are hard to find bits and pieces for. If it's an early Series 2, then things like wings, front panels, trim is quite unique to that. So for the 1000, no problem, 24 hours you can get what you like.
Yeah.
For the Series 2s and the MMs as well, there's bits that are just hard to find.
I knew very little about MMs because there are very, very few of them still running in the States, which is why I come to events like this and hang out with people like that who actually know about these things at a great and stupefying level of detail.
Yeah.
But auto jumbles here, and increasingly for me, mail order. Everyone will ship direct to the States, and what I've learned is if you order from a US vendor that sells something, they've just ordered it from ESM and then doubled the price and shipped it to you, so I ordered direct.
That's a useful tip for the very few people that are here from the USA, but thank you. Also, the visibility is slightly different in the earlier cars. The later ones have got the bigger windows and stuff like that. How do you compensate for that when you're driving them?
Well, in this case, I'm driving a left-hand drive car on the left-hand side of the road, so I'm just constantly, eternally looking over my right shoulder. It's been very good for my flexibility. But I didn't find the smaller rear window as difficult as I thought I would, honestly. And compared to modern cars with huge pillars, minors have good visibility just in general.
Yeah, I found that.
Yeah, the rear view, I mean, it depends on the padding in your seat. If you're quite tall and you're sitting very high up, then the rear visibility, reversing with a massive blind spot in the back corner can be tricky. Unless you're in a Traveller, because they're cool and your back doors are the back of you anyway. It's not necessarily the visibility when driving, it's your visibility to everybody else around you.
Yeah.
That's the tricky bit. As I said, the rear lights are small and they're low down. There's no centre rear brake light. The trafficators, you said before, if it's a two-door or a convertible, they're very low down. things like that. And at night time especially, it can be tricky.
Agreed.
What have you got any advice for things that people could do to make them a bit more usable if they were looking for kind of the unique aspects of the series too? Because obviously we're celebrating their anniversary this year, and it's great to see so many here. And there are some people that do try and use them a little bit more than that.
I'm not going to mention the M word modifying. It's I think the whole point is if you're driving something that's 70 years old, enjoy that it's 70 years old.
Yeah.
You know, that's the character of the car. If you want to go 150 mile an hour, now I know there's people that love modifying cars, so there's lovely people out there who do fantastic work. You know, I understand why you've done it. But personally for me, if I wanted to do 150 mile an hour, I'd buy a TR7 or something quicker.
Yeah.
As regards modifying for usability, they were designed to be used, so use them.
I think that's fantastic advice, absolutely. They can be used as is, and I think some people overlook that, and they want to make tweaks and things like that aren't necessary. You just use them as they were designed, at the speeds that they were designed for, in the situations that they were designed for. They existed before motorways, so maybe, in best case scenarios, pick a different road.
Well, it's to each their own. I mean, as the nutters in the corner know, I like mine as it rolls off the line. I totally appreciate people who put the effort and the time into modifying their vehicles to make them better. But it depends on what purpose you want to use your car for. If you're commuting every day, fine, throw in a 1098 engine, but if you
keep
want
the 803 safe.
Yes, keep it in the corner. It's handy to have. But it's, you know, if you buy something for that character, then appreciate the character that comes with all the foibles.
Absolutely. John?
For the Lowland, I've rather enjoyed getting to know it because it is such a different minor driving experience than the thousands that I've had. And I think my main lesson was to get over being scared of the car, and that's just putting in the miles, getting used to it, learning its rhythms. In terms of modifications, if I had it to do over again, I would probably have fitted radial tires. I have bias plies on it now, and the thing sidesteps like mad. So I probably, for longer distances, would have done that. And I already mentioned flashicators, but I'm a huge fan of them because no one will see trafficators, especially if they're at waist height. But if they're blinking, someone will.
Yeah, you've got the opportunity for them to catch somebody's eye if they're blinking, and they might not know for sure what it is, but they'll have a good guess.
Yeah.
Because even with the open tops, like hand signals, my parents in their 30s cars have found that hand signals aren't always understood. This one meaning they're turning the opposite way. We just got cars trying to overtake us in a not ideal situation. So yeah, it's learning those kind of little unique aspects.
And for reference, hand signals turn out to be quite different in the UK from where they are, from where I come from. So.
Yeah, that's also worth noting. So, John, you're here with the MM4. It's here for the summer, isn't it?
It's here for the summer. It will, I think, show up at NEC in November. Just because it's such a survivor car, I'm honored to own it. It's not going to get modified, and I, yeah, I don't know. I suppose I just kind of wanted to share it because I never expected to own it, but it's a piece of history at this point.
Yeah, it's that custodianship and absolutely sharing it with someone else. So what other things have you got planned for it over the summer whilst it's over here?
Not much actually, because I have to go back to the States and return to a job to make the money to come back. Sorry, but there are some other plans. We're still grinding through videos. There's going to be a load of videos about that car.
Where can people find those?
Thank you. A plug. Awesome. Tempting Fate Tours is what we ended up calling our video series. We've done a few of them that didn't involve minors before, but surprise, surprise, the minor ones get the most traffic. And we haven't even gotten to the Netherlands yet on the series, so they'll come out once a week, more or less, hopefully. But on the series 2 tip, I should say my friend, automotive enabler, co-conspirator, and partner in crime, has a 55 Traveler that we discovered in a garage in West LA that hadn't moved since 1968, and he came and brought that car on MOT as well. So if anyone knows of an 803 gearbox, Steve.
Looking sideways at you, Stephen, yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Stephen? Being a big year for Series 2s, what plans have the Series 2s kind of got for the year? Anything in particular?
Get out and get them used. Whenever I get home, the Splitty will be out again for the summer. Yeah, nothing major. I mean, to be used and abused, I think just get them out. They were designed to be driven. Enjoy them. Just get them out and drive.
Yeah.
There was a wonderful headline on an article I read, I think in Haggerty. An old car that's parked and safely tucked away has already started to die. Grim, but
yeah, they like to be driven. Yeah.
They are wee pieces of history. I mean, that's part of the whole aspect of it. Enjoy the car. Enjoy that you are another owner in another step in the car's history.
Yeah.
And with the way things are going today with electric vehicles and everything, it's more important than ever to get out and be driving your car.
Yeah. Before we kind of start to wrap this up, I'd quite like to hear some of your best memories from these early cars. So whenever you've been out in one, if you've had a great conversation with someone, if you've had a fantastic experience. Stephen, I'm not sure if you're stressed about picking one from a great many, or you've just had a terrible time with your Series 2.
There's a few I can't repeat in polite society. There is my good friend David, who helped me restore it, managed to get out and snap the trafficator off and rip the gear knob off all in the same morning. Restoring the car was brilliant fun. It took 3 years to restore it after it was pulled out of the barn, and we spent at least 2 winters huddled around his little wooden wood burner, drinking tea and talking absolute rubbish while welding sills and painting bits and pieces of the car. One of the best trips, as I said, it went to the Platinum Jubilee. It represented good Northern Ireland there. The amount of people that actually asked, where did you load it off the trailer? And I said, the last time it was on a trailer was whenever it was pulled out of a barn. I mean, it was driven, and it was a fantastic event all the way down. And I've met so many people and friends, done so many things just because I own a mine.
Yeah. John?
Basically what Stephen said.
You've also snapped a trafficator.
No, not that bad. It's really, I mean, the first car I ever rode in at age 4 days, I think, was a Morris Minor Traveler. It was my dad's Traveler. And so the cars have been around my whole life, but the fellowship and sort of cheerfully weird people that gather around miners are one of the best parts of my life. My better half nods and smiles and says, have fun, and that's fine. But I love coming to groups like this just because it keeps the interest alive. I'm always re-sparked by it. In the States, you just don't see them anymore. They've aged out. So here, especially with the young members, it's lovely to see all of the cars and people driving them.
Yeah.
And,
when you take the out in America, is there recognition for what it is? Because I think a lot of people think of the later body style when they think of a Morris Minor. So
honestly, in the States, the ability to differentiate among Morris Minors and VW Beetles is gone now. So,
that's a problem over here sometimes too.
Yeah. No, the Traveler actually gets a lot more attention just because it's a proper woody wagon, which stopped being part of the U.S. car mix in about 1952.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you ever so much for joining me up here, and thank you for sharing your experiences. And I hope some people have learned some fantastic things about some of these earlier cars that sometimes get a little bit overlooked, I think, by the vast numbers of thousands. So great to highlight them this week. Thank you.